Gentlemen, it's that hour again, and I'm back here for another story about my life. The first time your boy was ever ghosted. Now, if y'all have been alive long enough to have experienced MySpace was glorious. MySpace was way better than Facebook. Matter of fact, if I'm remembering correctly, Facebook was actually something that used to only be able to be used by college students. It was an exclusive app, and I remember the first time I ever saw it, I was like, so you literally can just upload pictures onto this thing and just type, and that's it. You can't customize anything. Like back in the MySpace days, you used to be able to you used to be able to customize your background. Like, somebody clicked on your page and they got to know you. The page was like a scrapbook or something, like, I remember going on the page and then I would put somebody in the background that I have a crush on, or I'd throw my favorite athlete in the background, and I could change the colors. I could make the background blue, green, or red, or I could make the background black, or whatever I wanted to do with the background. And when someone clicks on the page, I could put my favorite song on there. My song starts playing. This is before the era where everything was copyrighted, which, by the way, there's an extent that I understand that people don't want their material to be used or reused without them getting paid. But I think the copyright era goes way too far. Like, for an example, something that's annoying about my channel is that I have to be so careful about if I'm doing recaps of the things that I'm watching. I think that I should be able to, as long as I am not sitting there and posting the entire thing that I'm watching. I think I should be able to post little clips and then do breakdowns and make my commentary on that. But YouTube picks and chooses whether they want to demonetize channels and for what. So I don't even play that game of, let me just try to figure out what to do within the rules. I don't have a big enough platform, and now I only have one monetized channel. So that one goes, to tell you the truth, I'm off the internet. I mean, I'm off of YouTube anyways. Let's see here. That's what happened to me. So, what happened to you, Lil Izzy? Hi, Roger, and hi, Cowboy Rick. So anyways, on to that story. For those who don't know, I grew up in Canada. I was born in Canada. And I remember I was seeing somebody from my high school. But the strange thing is, I guess it wasn't really that strange. High school relationships. Oh yeah, I got one of my pages demonetized 4 months ago, 5 months ago, something along those lines, which really sucked. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So there was somebody I liked in my high school. I didn't tell her that when we were in school together. I moved over to, I think it was Massachusetts at the time. And from there, we started writing letters. Believe it or not, sometimes when I talk to the generation before mine, they're like, back in the day, we used to write people letters. And I'm like, I'm part of the generation that experienced that. And then we experienced things from our own era that were brand new. And then we experienced this technology revolution that's called Gen Z, right? So me and her would exchange letters. We would write letters back and forth, and within the letters, she was telling me like, "Oh, I've always liked you," and I was saying, "I've always liked you too." And so eventually, we decided to start dating long distance. What that meant at age whatever it was, 15, 14, 15, not that much. I guess it just meant I had someone to call and sit on the phone with several nights a week and talk about nonsense, because at that age, I'm thinking about it now, I was 14, 15 years old in another country. It was almost like pen pals in a way. Like when you were, if y'all remember being pen pals with people, it was almost that kind of thing. Because what were we really going to do? We had no way to meet up. We had no plans to meet up. I didn't have money for that. I didn't have a job. She didn't have money or a job. So it was just like, we're going to speak to each other indefinitely until something happens to work out. That was the mindset. That was the plan back then. There was no plan. The reason why I put MySpace and how MySpace became involved in this thing. If anyone remembers, on MySpace, there was a dangerous thing called a top 8. There was a top 4 and there was a top 8, right? So the top 8 was how you declared who the 8 most important people in your life were. Boom. And this was a serious thing. This is serious business. Especially if you were a teenager when MySpace was out, like I was. So at that age, everything is serious business. Some people would put people they don't even know in their top 8. I'm not gonna lie. They would be like, Michael Jordan's my number 1, Beyonce's my number 1, But other people were like, I'm going to put the 8 closest people to me, whether that be friends, whether that be family. My top 8 is going to be a representation of those people. And then you would have a fight with somebody, an argument, and then they're not in your top 8 anymore. Or you look at somebody else's page and you're their number 1, you put them at number 1, and then you see them on your page. You put them at number 1 on your page, and then you go to their page and you're like, why am I number 4? Who are these number 1, 2, and 3 that are more important? And why am I going to put you at number 1 when you put me at number 4? And it just went like that, right? So I remember that she was my number 1 and I was her number 1 during that time period where we had declared ourselves as a couple. And then I remember, we would speak every night. And then I don't really think, this was so long ago that I'm not even saying my memory is 1,000% accurate on this part, but I don't recall us having any kind of a serious argument, beef, anything like that. And one day she just stopped answering my calls. Let me tell you something. It was massively easy to ghost people back in the day. Now, you add in a long distance element to it, especially one where I'm in another country. I did have her address because she would send me letters sometimes, but what am I gonna do? Like, find some money somewhere and buy a plane ticket, and shoot over there and find her, knock at her door, and be like, baby, where have you been? Why aren't you talking to me anymore? So massively easy to ghost somebody. So I remember I was friendly with her sister, not friends with her sister, but friendly with her sister and one of her cousins. So I think I first reached out to her sister, said, hey, so-and-so, I'm just calling to find out how, not calling, I think I messaged her on MySpace also, how's such and such doing? We haven't spoken in a while. And she was like, I think you should talk to her yourself. And I'm like, that's an odd answer. So next thing you know, I reached out to her cousin and I spoke to her cousin. I asked the same thing. I was basically like, how you doing? It's been a while. Let's catch up. Then I got to the point of why I had contacted her, which was like, I'm trying to find out how such and such is doing. And she was just like, oh, she's doing well as far as I know. I'm like, she's doing well. Okay, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, she's doing well. She's doing fine. But she won't answer my calls. She won't answer my emails. I was crashing out, as the kids called it today, because I was messaging her. I was calling her. It was just insane. I'm like, how do we go from being in whatever a committed relationship was at that point in time to now you are totally just not answering me, and you're okay? Because at first my mind did go to, what if something is actually wrong? But once her sister and her cousin confirmed that there's nothing wrong with her and she's just choosing not to answer me, that just changed the game of how I felt about that. So what ended up happening, I went on her MySpace and I looked on her MySpace. I was out of her top 8, obviously. I kept her in my top 8 this whole time. I think that I had moved her from number 1 to a different number. It might have been 8. But she was still on there. When you go on my page, it's visible that she's one of my top 8 friends. I go on her page. Like I said, I'm out of her top 8. Not even on there. Then I see a dude that is number 1. So I click on his page. His profile, she's number 1 on his page. His profile picture is her and him together. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So the next thing that I did, I must have wrote out a book worth of response in an email. I wrote her this long email talking about how I feel about her as a person. Not how I feel in a good way. Just like, you are trash. Like, you're this and you're that. I can't believe you were cheating on me, scamming me, etc. This is crazy. What is happening here? And I was just like, if there was somebody else that you liked and there's somebody that you were interested in, you should have just basically had the balls to just come out and say that, instead of not saying anything to me at all and then just popping up with him on MySpace, embarrassing me and hurting me. This is crazy. So whatever I said in that email got her attention enough to where she finally responded to me. And she was pretty unapologetic. The response was kind of, sorry, not sorry. I don't like you for this and this and this reasons. When we started out with dating, it was cool. Then after some time, it was like this. Things changed. I didn't know how to tell you. Then I met this guy, and I liked this guy, and he was kind of courting me. And then I didn't know how to tell you when he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I said yes. I didn't really know how to tell you, so unfortunately I was trying to figure out how to tell you, and I was like, well, okay. But then the way that you ended up telling me was me finding out with this top 8-ish. Honestly, needless to say, I'm over it now. That was a lifetime ago. But at that time, Sheesh. That was like the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Finding out about this girlfriend of mine breaking up with me via looking at MySpace and finding it. And then the funny thing is, she didn't even stay with him that long. She was with this guy for, I want to say, a few months. I mean, it's high school. As this TV show tagline used to go, it's not real life, it's high school. I know some serious things did happen in high school, but I could have gone over there. Some serious things happened in high school, but that was not really that serious. So that was the first time. That was the first time that someone ever ghosted me, and that was before ghosted was actually a term. There was not a term ghosted that existed. It was just she stopped speaking to me, and that was it. I had to get over it. It took me some time. I did get over it, and actually there was a time period where we temporarily, years later, because that happened all of probably 2003, 2004, sometime in that range. And then we reconnected 2013. She gave me a more legitimate apology. You're dropping this phone. She gave me a more legitimate apology in 2013 when we had reconnected a little bit. And I accepted, but we're not friends today. We don't speak today. I mean, it's a possibility that if I reached out, it's a possibility that I might get a response. But either way, it's not like a friendship is ever going to exist there again. But anyways, that was my story about the first time that I ever experienced being ghosted. Did it happen again? I was ghosted one other time, and the second time was much, much, much worse than this time. But that might be another story for another day. So, anyways, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Have y'all ever been ghosted? Let me know in the comment section. Have a great night.